Hello, friends. Hi. Welcome to Medical Village Network Live. We're in a new space today. Are you noticing? Are you noticing the differences? We're in a different space today, and I feel a little discombobulated. All good stuff because it's new. I hope you guys are having a great week. This week is back to some really lovely temperatures here in Charlotte. My friends who joined trivia last week, I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I was asked to remind my winners to make sure that they email learn@inlera.com with their screenshot of their podium. So if you did win last week's trivia, please make sure that you email the proper place that I just said, and the team will put it in the comments somewhere for us. Learn@inlera.com. All right, my friends, welcome. This is Medical Billers Network Live. I am your host, Jasmine Vialise. Welcome back. If you are here for a repeated time, I don't know what I'm saying. Again, new place, new environment. Words are also new for me today, apparently. I hope you guys are doing well. If you are new here, welcome to this space. This is a space where we help to bring together, unify the medical billers of the world. Because I say the world because we are global now, friends, with our knowledge, our expertise, and bringing us together so we can help to improve the delivery of patient care by alleviating all of the massive confusion in the business of healthcare. So, my friends, if you are just joining on the stream, let me know that you're here. Today's question of the day: what has been your longest hold time? Which is a very fun question of the day, because those of us who've been in billing have had days where we have had awful hold times, especially at the beginning of the vid when all of the callers were not in the office. So what has been your longest hold time? Offhand, I'd probably go with 3 hours was probably the longest hold time I've ever seen. It was so long that I was like saying, oh my gosh, this is like the longest hold time. I'm totally going to take a picture of this so I can get it to memory. I probably said that at about an hour and 40 minutes. And then by the time 3 hours came, I was just ready to scream at someone. So yeah, that was probably my longest, 3 hours. Let's see. Hi, Julie. Hello. Great to see you. Benita. Hello. Cleveland. Is it warm there yet? Hopefully you guys have warmer temperatures, no more ice and all the things. Oh yes, here's our email address for my winners of the trivia from last week. And if you have any questions about anything that we do here, you can email that as well. Want to be natural? Great to see you, friend. Longest hold time, yeah. Oh, oops, sorry. Facebook user, I just clicked on yours. Hello. 2 hours, yeah. And then being told you'd be called back 2 days later. That's so U.S. healthcare. All right. Yeah, it's warm. I love it. Happy to hear that you are in spring officially. So let me see. All right. If you guys are just joining here, make sure you let me know that you are here. I'm going to quickly jump into my, I've got random pop-ups here, different environment, different computer. So, okay. All right. I'm going to jump into our weekly roundup. So last week was trivia. If you missed trivia, you missed a party. They had some really great questions. High five to Carrie and Nicole for preparing a really awesome trivia. You guys are rock stars. I love the participation. Just continue inviting your friends. And it's just an opportunity to win free money. We do that once every oh, I saw that. Yeah, last week winners. Yeah, the names of the winners are there. So if you recognize your name, you didn't realize you were a winner, please let us know. So basically, trivia's first Thursday of every month. You can join trivia. There is no strings attached. You just need to make sure that you have two devices, one that is a computer or a device. I'm sorry, not only a computer or a phone or a what is it called? A tablet and a phone, or two devices or two phones, so that you can be on the trivia game on one and watch on the other. And that way you can make sure that you are clear about the correct answers. You can certainly just play the trivia, but you wouldn't be able to participate with us and learn if you got the question wrong. So that is the reason why we really encourage the other device, so that you can watch on whatever, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever device or whatever program you like to watch on, and also play on, what is it called? Just blinked my brain. My brain was going to say Zapier. That is not the program. that program that I can't remember that someone will put in the comments for me. Not Quizlet. I don't remember right now. Cahoots. It just came to me. Cahoots is the program. Yes. So make sure that you download Cahoots, or at least make sure that you save it. All right, let's see. Hello, Michelle. Great to see you. Okay, so this last week before last, we talked aging buckets. We did a bunch of stuff related to AR over these last few weeks. So if you missed it, please go back and catch up. The live streams have been chocked full of really great content, according to some other people, not just me. And so if you've missing some parts, or there's some things you want us to deep dive in, always feel free to comment. Let us know that you are missing or need us to fill in between the lines for you on any particular content. There's always an opportunity, excuse me, for us to expand a little bit more deeper into a particular area that you might be struggling with. Today, we are talking about how to follow up on a claim by phone. So my billers in the house, please be a part of the solution and share your expertise. I'm going to go over like what I came up with as far as best practices, some quick high level notes. But if you have expertise or fancy, funky ways that you want to share that you'd like to follow up by phone, please share those so that our friends can learn and gain additional knowledge. So hello, medical billing Maven, great to see you. Let me see, I saw, is it Pam Kov? Newbie, hi, welcome Newbie. So excited. Where are the previous episodes? Okay, so you're on Facebook. They're on Facebook because they get stored there. I'm going to be honest, I don't really know the best way to find them on Facebook. I almost would suggest that if you're open to it, that you would go to YouTube, because Nicole does a great job at saving those into playlist for you. So it'll be a lot easier for you to navigate through the playlist on YouTube. If you know like a fancy savvy way to find them on Facebook, totally by all means do that. So let's see. Oh, I like your last name. Cavanaro. Very cool name. I love it. All right, my dear. Okay, so I keep like clicking the wrong things on here. I'm telling you, it's the new environment. I'm confused. Oh, yes. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe and ring the bell so that you get notified about when we're going live and all the things. Sound like a commercial. This was inserted because I always forget to say this at the right times. I recommended, all the YouTube gods that talk to Nicole. She's got a direct line of communication to the YouTube gods, and this was the ask from them to request that you subscribe and like the video and tell other people about it. So, and if you enjoy it, definitely let me know in the comments if you need more or want us to go further, go deeper. Always available. So in addition to what we do here on Medical Billers Network Live, we have also online courses that are available. So if you are brand new to medical billing, this billing starter bundle is going to be the right choice for you. If you are not sure what you want to do specifically in healthcare and you're trying to break into healthcare and you are trying to decide if it's billing, this is the right bundle. It's going to give you a really good understanding of what the heck a biller does, all of the basics knowledge around being a biller. It also at the end goes over kind of like these are the qualities of a biller in case you're not sure still, if that's you, if it fits you, helps you decide, will help you to decide if it's the right line of work for you. To be totally frank, like some of us fall into careers and then fast forward a few years, maybe less, and you find out you hate it. Like that, we don't want to get there, right? So you want to figure out if you're a good match for the job or for that position as well. It teaches you the language of billing as well. There's 2 courses in one with the billing starter bundle. And there's a couple of other examples of things. So we also have other self-paced courses, medical billing terminology, medical office reception, which is in its final stages of being published, thanks to the delays from me. It'll be up there live on the website here before the end of this week. The instructor-led programs are different than the last courses that I just went over. Those are self-paced courses. Instructor-led programming means that you are going to pace along with the instructor. So mastering medical billing is an example of that. CPB readiness coaching. Very clearly, let me clearly clarify the differences between the two. Mastering medical billing includes CPB coaching readiness. Mastering medical billing is for someone who needs medical billing training to be able to then go get certified by the AAPC, okay? CPB readiness by itself is if you are not in need, or you are already experienced in medical billing and you just are looking to go get your certification, to go get your credentials. Very important that we understand the difference. We've had a lot of inquiries lately about people wanting to do CPB. There are prerequisites for us for CPB because we're going to move very quickly and we don't go into every piece of content around billing. So don't want to lose you. If you are brand new to billing, you will get lost very, very quickly because we will go quickly through the content. We're really looking at drilling and getting you very clear on the problems, like say the gaps that you have in the textbook version of billing. Okay. So like what is going to be on the test. So we will be drilling questions. We're going to go over the logic behind answers. We'll go over all of the issues that folks are struggling with. We're going to go over those. But if we have people in there that don't know 80 to 90% of the content, it will slow us down and we will not get through the program within 12 weeks. So really, really important to know that. All right. Okay, so ins and outs of insurance claims follow-up. We are starting this area of follow-up today, specifically with following up by phone. All right, my friends, so my billers in the house, you will help me greatly by expanding upon your examples, the situations that you're faced with, the things that you have seen and done, your tricks of the trade, or the things that we need to know and what we want to hear. If you are in the Facebook group, I have other asks of my billers in the house because there are going to be a few other things that are going to involve all of you to help curate some additional content and help our folks out there to be inspired, to be encouraged, to help them like really find their path into the world of billing and help them really feel comfortable and confident on the job. Also, my second mention about this is we are getting close to having our very first medical billers meetup. So if you have not seen that, you probably are not in the Facebook group. So you should join the Facebook group so that you can see the posts about that. That is going to be reminded by Nicole because literally right now it is like out of my brain. She'll put it in the comments for us because I don't remember when that is. So the Medical Billers Network Facebook group is going in there right now. And then also if you could just post when our meetup is scheduled for. I cannot remember. I feel like it was a Friday. Last Friday before, I don't know. She's gonna put it there. We're gonna do it this month, and then we are looking at every other month. So if you are interested in joining the meetup, make sure that you join the Facebook group so you can stay connected to when those are happening. Think of them as like live workshops, opportunities for us to come together and talk about the things we're faced with, recognizing the need to take PHI out of that. My friends who are in healthcare know what that is. But we're going to talk about problems that we're faced with and hopefully workshop some answers so our friends can support us. All right. Hi, Tyra. Great to see you. Great to see you. Yes. Oh, it's next Friday. Wow, these days just like rush by. Okay. Next Friday, the 21st at 7:30 p.m. Thank you, Nicole. Next Friday, the 21st, 7:30 p.m. That is the Medical Billers Network Live. It is a Zoom session, and there will be rooms. So be prepared to have your Zoom up and running so that, or on whatever device is comfortable for you, so that you can participate in the conversation and all of that. All right, my friends, let's get into the topic of discussion today. Ooh, let me take away that. All right, following up by phone. So I have a few slides here. My billers in the house, you can, again, support me and our community by giving us some additional tips, tricks, things that come up as we are there. I will not comment on those completely throughout the entire presentation unless I feel like it's absolutely relevant. And if you have questions while we're moving through the content, those questions I will probably reserve till the very end unless I feel like they really need to be addressed. All right, so I want to first remind all of you of the healthcare revenue cycle because we are talking about follow-up today. We're starting this conversation about follow-up, but I want to make sure we're super clear that before we get to follow-up, which is the orange circle in our revenue cycle, the yellow circle at the top is where our healthcare revenue cycle starts. So it's very, very important that you know that you have a lot of areas of the revenue cycle that hopefully you can tweak and improve before you have to do this area or this element of follow-up. Very, very important because most of us dive to, like, especially if you've been hired to this role of AR caller or follow-up representative or accounts receivable representative, something that just denotes the AR and reconciliation kind of areas of the revenue cycle. Sometimes we forget about all of the other areas of the revenue cycle in which problems can first root, okay, where they first start to take up space and potentially cause accounts receivable. We are looking at preventing things from getting all the way down this cycle, if possible. Now, you might be in a role where you don't have direct connection to someone else that can help you improve the remainder of the revenue cycle, but I guarantee you, if you are in a role that has some level of influence in the other areas of the revenue cycle, and you identify gaps in, say, data capture, for example, like the patient's insurance is not being verified, dates of birth not being captured by or confirmed even by some sort of electronic means, or ideally at least getting something simple as like as an ID or a driver's license when the patient is in office. Those are just examples of very quick fixes if you were to make those recommendations that you could potentially solve a big percentage. Those of us who are in billing know vast percentage of the issues that we encounter are as a result of data processing. So data capture, excuse me. All right, next. So thinking about that, we're really talking about chasing the money. Now, the three main things that we can do to be able to find the money are manage our rejection. This is as billers, manage our rejections very, very well. Make sure we have a process that captures our denials, because these two things are going to prevent us from needing to do extra work. Excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. The pollen is all kinds of out of craziness out here in Charlotte. So I have taken allergy meds, but my voice is like cracky and all that. So I apologize. So managing rejections, data capture is going to help us prevent the need to do follow-up, to do the calling. Very important that you understand that in order to prevent the need for calls, you're going to need to continue to do a little bit more work on the front end. So if you're just jumping to make phone calls to an insurance company, but you haven't checked on your rejections and worked your rejections on a regular basis, you haven't looked to see what kinds of denials have come in and tried to resolve those denials, then you're probably wasting your time calling on things that are sitting in your clearinghouse that has been rejected, or that you already have the reason for the denial on file and you are sitting on the phone to get that same exact information, okay? Now, we work with an offshore team, and you guys know this, we've talked about it many times. That is always my number one concern, is that people get an AR report and their first knee jerk is to pick up the phone and call. And my first ask is, before you do anything, you need to look to see if the claim got processed. Did the claim get processed? Did it get accepted by the insurance company? And then if so, was that claim already adjudicated? What does anyone know what adjudicated means? Tell me, what does adjudicated mean? Tell me what you think adjudicated means. That's one of those big monstrous words that we use in healthcare in the revenue cycle that not enough of us explain it. So I'm going to let you guys answer that question. What does adjudicated mean first? So adjudicate, was the claim adjudicated? If it was adjudicated by the insurance carrier, then we already know either why it was denied or what happened, why a particular service was denied, or what happened. Okay, we already know that. So there's no reason to get on the phone to call and ask what happened to the claim. We have all the evidence that we need. So yes, Tyra, love it. Processed. Yes, adjudicate is just a fancy word to say processed. It's just a fancy word. This is healthcare, y'all. We just like to complicate things. This is all we do. We're very good at complicating things. Yes. Accepted is a little bit more. So yes, something needs to first be accepted for adjudication. So it's like the term for adjudication really corresponds directly more to processed. I saw a Facebook user. I don't see a name for some reason for that. So all right, so follow-up methods. So once you've decided you don't have all the information that you need about a particular claim, you have really some options, okay? And I rearranged these, but I must have picked the wrong slide for the final copy because I want to rearrange them. I wanted to rearrange them today to put phone last, second to last, because snail mail is probably more costly. I just saw an update from someone that mail is going to be 66 cents or something now, and that the postal service is still losing money by like millions. I don't even understand it, but and Amazon's making buku bucks, like, and they've got people driving things around. It's like crazy, door to door. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But by phone, it should be after at least online and fax. Snail mail, because it costs resources to get those things done, I'm going to put it very close to the second to last slot on here because it takes too long. Even if you got the best, fastest, most amazing IVR, which is the interactive voice response system, you've got the bestest system on the planet, it still takes too long. And so you're going to sit there, you're going to check one, you got to listen to the recording, and the thing talks a certain level of speed. It's much slower than if you were to log in on a website and just quickly see, okay, Jane Doe has these 10 claims, and here's the processing, and here's what happened with the claim. So much faster. I'm going over this calling at first because this has been one of the most requested things, is people wanting to know about following up by phone. So we're talking about by phone. I don't recommend that you use phone as your first knee jerk. Even if you have a job as AR caller, your ask should be, are we allowed to follow up by other means? Yes, you might need to be the caller. You might be the person that is getting those tasks that are being asked to be requested to be called upon, and that's totally okay. But it's really important that you understand that there are so many other methods to follow up. If you are new to healthcare or new to billing and you don't know how to follow up, you should be using these other means, going online to a provider portals or using a clearinghouse for requests, using a fax form that the insurance company might denote or require that you send by fax, and potentially, not my favorite, potentially snail mailing stuff as well. Okay, so when I say some of the things that might be snail mailed is if you've tried to fax something 4 or 5 times and it just keeps getting stuck because you've got like 14, 15, whatever, 20 pages worth of medical notes that you're using to support, it might be something that you just need to mail. I'm not a big fan, but if it's like a surgery and you've got all these, or it's like a settlement for a case and it's worth $10,000 and you got to spend 66 cents. I mean, it's not going to be that. It'll be more because you're sending more pages. It'll be like $1, right? You got to spend some money on it. It's probably worth it if you're sending something that might get you paid $2,000 to $4,000, right? But if you're fighting a claim that like is worth $50 and you don't know that you're even going to get it paid, might not be worth it. You might want to just keep waiting for the fax to go through. Okay. And get an e-fax. My friends who are sending faxes by like physical fax machine, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy. You should not need to do that, especially if you're downloading medical notes and then printing them out and then taking the printing thing and putting it into a fax machine. Like illogical. The whole thing is illogical. You just need to create a PDF package that goes into an e-faxing system. All right. So much easier. So much easier. Okay. So before you make your call, you must have certain criteria. You need to make sure that you have verify that you have this information before you pick up the phone, because there's nothing worse than having sat on hold for like some of the folks' times that they were mentioning. Mine's that I said 3 hours or the longest hold times, right? If you've got this hold time that you've been sitting on for like 45 minutes, even 20 minutes is a long time, especially because, we're all about instant stuff right now. So 20 minutes is a long time. You're sitting on phone for 20 minutes and then you're like fumbling when the person gets there. You don't have like a date of birth. You don't have this, you don't have that. It's like, it's frustrating, not just to you, but also to the representative. And they probably are going to try to get you off the phone as fast as they could, even if they gave you the wrong or misinformation. To be totally frank, they're going to just be like, okay, you're wasting my time and I've got other calls. A lot of them also are production based. I know we talked about this before. A lot of my billers are like salty about things being production based, but they are also production based. And not only that, they also are graded on customer service. And a lot of the time their compensation, or at least their payment structure for raises and evaluations, is based upon their customer service and their production. So they also want to get you off the phone fast. Okay. So Before you call, you got to have your patient's information, have the patient's name, their ID, their policy number. When I say ID number or policy number, that just depends on what the person or what that insurance carrier calls it, and the date of birth. Those are really important verifying pieces that you will need. You will also need your visit information, date of service, procedure codes, because sometimes they ask, or you might be asking specifically about a code, and the total amount billed for this date of service. This right here, the total amount can be a little of a hindrance for some of us that are in a software that doesn't automatically give you a sum for that particular date of service, or it doesn't do it in a clear way. So it's really important that you know what you're calling on, because you might need to go somewhere else. It might be your clearinghouse, or it might be your calculator, to add up the charges for the visit. So you need to know how much you sent on your claim, not how much you thought they were going to pay you, but how much you sent. So if you sent 3 charges that totaled $100 each charge, your total bill is $300. You need to make sure you have that number, because they will ask. In a lot of cases, they will verify that with you. You also need to make sure you have your provider's information. So practice name, that's this practice name. Oh yeah, providers. That should say provider's name next. Sorry, practice name or provider's treating provider's name as well. The tax ID and the NPI, have them both on hand, because every company is a little different. Most of them are looking for tax IDs first, but they might ask you to verify the treating provider's NPI. You need to be able to look that up. So you need to have both that group NPI and your provider's NPI handy, and then the tax ID. Usually the tax ID is like the first one that's going to be asked, but just in case, have everything in front of you. What do I recommend for these things? I recommend that you have a cheat sheet of some sort. I'm always a proponent of things electronic, because if you aren't at the office physically and you need to be at home, you should be able to log into some sort of shared platform that stores this information for you. Your little cheat sheet should have all of this stuff for you, like your provider's information, all of the providers that you might be working with, their NPI numbers, okay? You should have all of that handy, okay? And then the last thing is to I'm never a fan, you guys will hear this from me time and time again, I'm never a fan of pen and paper. But if it's the fastest way for you to temporarily jot something down that is going to go into a software, do that. Jot down the person's name and the call reference number. Sometimes it's faster for us to do that versus trying to type. I totally get it. But I will absolutely urge you to make sure that you know this consciously. This piece of paper is a temporary place. I am not going to live my life from this notebook or this piece of paper. Nothing makes me cringe more than when I meet a biller who's like, oh, this is it right here. These are all my notes from the last 500 years. I'm like, really, who is that helping? Like, I don't understand why you would think that your like written process is going to serve anyone. Like if someone needed to know the status of that claim at the front desk, or the call center, for example, or somewhere in another department in your practice, and you're holding on to these notes on a piece of paper, like it's not going to be useful. You're now going to have to waste your time to maybe take that call to interpret your notes that maybe you may not even remember what you wrote, and you maybe wrote it in Greek because your fingers were sore from writing so darn much. And now you have to interpret this information to give it to someone else, so that you answer the question for the patient or whomever is calling. So it's really important that you understand that like pen and paper is not the permanent place. We live in an electronic era. You absolutely need to be using your resources. You either are using your documentation in the software, or you are using another place that stores this technology based across areas. So when I say that, like, I don't know, let's say your software is like total crap and you have the ability to do something in a Google for Business or something, and you choose to put something in your Word, not what do they call that? Google Doc, in your Google Doc follow-up, or on your Google Sheet spreadsheet, you're putting the follow-up notes on there or something. I don't know, somewhere electronically so that it can be referenced again if you cannot use your software. I'm a big proponent of using your software. Use all the technology available to you in the software that you can make easier for everybody. But if it's not possible, then something else electronic God forbid, you don't have access to that piece of paper anymore for any number of reasons. Okay. All right. So you are on the phone, you're talking to your representative. These are the possible scenarios. So you've gotten on the call with the representative. The representative has already questioned. I love that. That's how I just said. Yeah, my fingers just started to heal. I used to write for days. Yeah, you know what? We all did. Like it definitely. I had shorthand stuff. I'm sure you did too. But back in the day, being a biller, like they weren't creating places for us to put our notes back then, because there wasn't a need for like this kind of cross boundary or cross platform, even like documentation. Like it wasn't like you were trying to get this information to other people. They just were building software with the very basic expectations of like organizing the financials, and then sending the claim to an insurance carrier. So it was very, very basic. Now that we're in this stage where we have way more resources, we should use the resources available to us and save our fingers. Save our fingers. All right. So you were on the call. I'm going to actually pop away from this for just a second. So you've already gotten your call with your insurance. You've already gotten the representative on the phone. They picked up the phone. You've given them all the criteria. They are now going to provide you with the status of that claim. Every representative of an insurance company has their own script that they are required to deliver first, which is part of the reason why I say it is so much faster for you to do things like basic following up on a claim online, because they're going to have to take you through their script. That's their job. They have to. Okay. So it's going to take you a while. You might just be like, I just need to know that. They're going to be like, okay, hold just a minute. Let me just tell you the rest of the status of the claim. And it was paid this time and that and blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then they're going to be able to take your request. Now, keep this in mind. My friends who have been billers for years might remember when we would call, you would actually talk to a claims adjuster. The person on the other line was the person that was like the maker or breaker of whether your claim was going to get reimbursed, whether you were going to be paid for this service. They could send it back and like they would be able to issue that check. Like that particular individual was a claims adjuster. That is not the case. When we call these days, we are talking to a customer support or a customer service representative. This individual is receiving the requests, and those requests are being submitted to either a software for reconsideration or another person that is like hands off. Nobody can talk to them. These are the gods of the claims. The customer service representatives are sending this information to another claims processing department that you will not be able to speak to. Even when you escalate your claim multiple times, you might get a call back from a supervisor from the customer service department. You will not get a call back, highly likely, from most carriers. I say that because there are some small guys out there, but most of them are not going to allow you directly to talk to the claim adjuster. And why do I make such a big point about that? Because so many of us are like fighting on the phone, arguing with this poor person who is literally there to try to interpret what you are saying into words. So the number one thing I will ask of you and urge of you is that you speak to them with kindness, because they are just the middle person. Most of them do not even really understand what takes place on the other side. They are receiving the information from you. They're interpreting what they see in the claim system right now. And if they're very experienced, now they might have a lot of experience in other departments and be able to look at it and really get it. Majority of those customer service folks in a lot of the larger companies do not have that level of experience. So what you're going to get is someone who might fumble around, might have a little trouble trying to articulate back to you what you're trying to say with regards to what you need. So it's really important that you understand before you get on the call what it is that you are looking for this individual to do. Okay, so understanding the possible scenarios is really important. We're going to go over that next. But in order for you to be able to kind of say, hey, if this claim is partially paid, I'm going to ask this person to send it back for reprocessing. If this claim is paid, I'm going to ask X, Y, and Z. That is why we're going over this today, because you need to know what your next step is. Because if you sit there on the phone with someone who has got somewhat of less knowledge than you, even though you might be new, they will probably not serve you well. Okay, because again, they are basically your interpreter. So they are taking what you are saying, putting it into this magic little device called a request system that in the internal system of the insurance company, and they're sending it to that department that is going to review the claim, potentially for reprocessing. It might even happen electronically based on what the criteria is that the representative is putting in. So it's super duper important that you understand that you have to know what you're looking for them to do. Okay, so knowing the scenarios that we're going to chat about next, so important. Do not argue and scream at the person. Hi, hey, Mohammed, great to see you. Yes, like I said, fighting. Yes, yeah. Don't be fighting with them. I mean, here's the deal: is you can express your frustration if it's like you've called a couple of times in the same thing. And the reason why I say that is just be very real. This is the third time I've called for this exact thing, and it seems like the last two representatives still did not get it right. And be very, very clear. Be very articulate. Don't just be yelling at them and screaming at them and like using them as your punching bag. Like nobody needs that. No one. And here's what's going to happen. I'm going to be totally frank. It's like, like when people talk about you're mean to the waitress at the restaurant and you're like worried they're going to spin your food. The opposite thing is true. Like if you're mean to this or the same thing is true, I should say. If you're mean to this representative, you know what they're going to do? Delete. That call never happened. And they just won't even send your request. Like who knows, right? I mean, yes, their calls are recorded and blah, 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 but who's listening to every single call? And some people just don't care, right? If you were rude to them or you were mean to them, they might just put whatever they want in your request. So you might be making things harder for yourself and you're going to be calling for a fourth time. All right. So true. I love it. Yeah. Thank you guys. Okay. So yeah. And if you have other things, please do say, let us know what other scenarios you guys have seen as well. I'm going to go over some of the scenarios that are really the most common statuses that you're going to see when you're calling. You're really trying to find out what happened, right? Again, if you are choosing to call on a claim, hopefully you've already thought through all of our previous revenue cycle steps, okay? Why I say that is because sometimes people are calling too soon. When a claim is pending or in process and you just sent the claim like last week, why are you calling? What? Doesn't make any sense. Why would you be calling on? I mean, unless truly your AR is like squeaky clean and you just are making sure. You're just like, I just want to make sure my money gonna get there. Like, okay, I get it. But let's be real. Like, oh yes, here. This is what happens. I love that Tyra said it. That is what happens when a representative gets mad at you. They just put you on hold and be like, okay, give me a moment. And then, oops, the call got disconnected, and happens all the time, like all the time. All right. I love that. All right. Sorry. So back to what I was saying is when we are choosing to follow up, you have to make a decision around what a reasonable time frame is for your practice. And when I say that, I mean, if you know that it takes your insurance carriers anywhere between 10 and 14 days for you to receive payment and actually see that payment in the bank, like on average, your days in AR is 14. Okay, let's just say it's 14 days. If it's 14 days, you will not be calling on claims. You will not be calling on claims that are any less than 15 days. Okay, now I'm going to add to that. Let's say, so 15 days was our number, right? Let's say it takes your doctors 5 days to close out their notes, their documentation, to even let you get the claim out the door to process, for the insurance to process it or accept it or anything. Then you are 20 days out from when you should potentially even be doing anything with the claim. When I say calling or following up online or doing anything with a claim, all right, you're 20 days out. So very important that you understand that there needs to be a clear reason for your calling. If you're calling on a claim that's 7-10 days old, whatever, and you know that it takes 14 days, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. The things that you could do if your AR is squeaky clean, what should you do? You should be making sure that your claims are getting accepted. There's no issues with rejections, like making sure that the the documentation from the denials are being captured correctly. Like what's happening with your denial capture? Like, do you have someone that's reviewing the correspondence as it arrives from the insurance carriers, like other requests? When I say correspondence, that's basically anything else from an insurance carrier that does not include an EOB. So it could be a letter, it could be some return claims, it could be anything else, okay? You should have someone reviewing that. There's so many other things that you could do than have someone sitting on a phone call, okay? Don't waste people's time and energy. There's so much more value in all these other things, okay? When you're looking at making these calls, the three scenarios are pending or in process, claims not being on file, or denied partially paid, which I'll say denied partially paid because it really just depends on so there might be underpayments for a particular code that you were accepting, or there might be 1 out of 4 codes that you billed that were denied. So when we're looking at pending or in process, you need to make sure you confirm, if let's say you're beyond that 20 days that we just spoke about, you need to make sure that you confirm when they got the claim. Like, when did the insurance carrier actually say that they received the claim? They should probably have told you this in their little spiel, but just in case they didn't, ask that. And then you need to make sure that you confirm what the processing time frame is, because there are some insurances that we might be dealing with, like atypical or uncommon ones in other specialties, like my brain is personal injury or auto accident insurance companies, or workers' compensation carriers have very very unique, we'll just say, unique timeframes for processing and processing practices, because they actually work a lot like what we were accustomed to back in the 90s of processing, or early 2000s of claims processing, where there was a representative that received those claims and they were the ones who reviewed them and processed them. So that adjudication, or that representative, the claims adjuster, their job is still very similar to what it was in commercial healthcare world. But now we are not looking at things through that lens. If we're calling a commercial carrier, we probably already have this information in the IVR system, which means the automated system, the system that's the computer before you even can be transferred to a representative in most cases. Or you might be able to get this online, okay? So when you're looking at a claim online, again, you're going to try to use that mode of communication as much as possible. Look for opportunities for you to inquire more deeply online if you're on there already, instead of then taking the next step to call, all right? So claim pending or in process, you need to find out what the processing, then that's going to help you decide what to do next. If they're like, oh, it takes like 3 weeks and you've only calling in within 2 weeks or whatever, like, okay, you kind of know you're going to keep an eye on it and maybe call back in a week or change, okay? So pending or in process, it's going to depend upon what the response is. If they have gone beyond the processing time, typically they can send that claim back for escalation, okay? Meaning they're going to send it back and say, oops, something happened. We were supposed to have processed this and we didn't, okay? The next common scenario is claim not being on file or not found. So not found in their system or not on file. I will first insert a step that says, if you hear this or you see this in your online software or the IVR system, it's not on file, you need to check your clearinghouse. Hopefully you have already looked in the clearinghouse before you even picked up the phone. But if you did not, you need to revisit your clearinghouse and look to see what happened to the claim. If it did not get accepted, so this is a claim that was submitted with no response, is what most carriers deem it. So a claim that's submitted to an insurance carrier that did not get a response back from that insurance carrier that it was accepted for adjudication, those claims are in limbo. It does happen. It can happen. So it's important that you are aware of that, because what you would do then is to request either the clearinghouse to resubmit it, or send a request internally through the clearinghouse for them to the insurance carrier's clearinghouse to confirm whether they received it or not. Or you might be able to call and have that department, the claims department, go out and find the EDI system to search for that claim. Okay, there are sometimes breaks in communication between clearinghouses. So it's really important that you understand, if your clearinghouse has a lot of downtime, You need to know what their communication is about that downtime. Usually there's a notification system or like an announcement or broadcast system that says, hey, our system is down. We don't have a connection to Aetna right now, or we can't pull claims, or we can't submit claims to Blue Cross. And they usually will tell you what you need to do. Like, you need to stop sending claims and send them tomorrow, or you need to resubmit claims that you sent in the last 48 hours, or you need to do nothing because we're going to figure out the problems and resubmit them for you. Okay. So there might be a solution in the broadcast from your clearinghouse. So you need to be connected to those announcements from your clearinghouse. And if you don't have the claims department connection, then you should talk to your supervisor or someone to try to find out like who is in charge of that relationship, so that you are at least aware. Like, let's say you're the contact for Aetna, like it would be great for you to just be aware that here were the dates when Aetna lost communication to the clearinghouse, because you could be on high alert for those dates. If you see a date of service in that little window, your knee jerk might be, oh, claim's not on file, resubmit it. Like, you're not going to call, you're not going to do anything else. You're just going to resubmit the claim because you know that the clearinghouse might have lost its connection. Even big systems like Epic have communication systems for this. So it's really important that you know what the mode is. And I'm totally drawing a blank. I believe they're using Availity as their main processor for claims. And so it's really important that you know like that processing systems notifications process. Okay. Notification process. That's the only word I can think of. Yeah. Style mode. Okay. Lastly, denied or partially paid. So when you are calling, the denied or partially paid claims are the claims that we are hopefully going to be doing a little bit more work on. So you need to make sure, again, that you have a process by which you can capture the denials, because if you are pulling these denials out by your calls, you're wasting energy and time, because every insurance carrier has the ability to send you the EOB or ERA. You should be able to go right to that source and pull the information out and know hopefully what the next step is. If you don't know based on what you received, this is where you might be calling. So you're trying to confirm the reason for your denial. You might be calling to try to get clarity, try to understand why. I don't understand what's going on with my denial. What is the denial? What does the denial mean? Some of us have seen those denials that just like are Greek. It doesn't make any sense. So if that's you and you're having that trouble trying to interpret certain types of denial reason codes, then it's might be something that you need to clarify. I will also urge you that if you work with one major payer and you know that they have a denial code that they use that really isn't the correct code, and I'm going to blank on my example right now. It's 226 or 227. The CO 226 or 227 that Optum or a United Healthcare group uses. United Healthcare uses that code very often. The CO 226 or 227. Someone in my group over here in the comments can correct me. They use that code often for claims that do not have authorization. And that code is very confusing because it says something like, someone look it up for me. Like, I used to know it by heart, but it's totally not in the forefront of my head right now. It's something like, this claim lacks information, not needed for adjudication, I don't think, but it's something similar. So someone will look it up for me, right? So CO 226 or 227. But those codes are the most common codes that United Healthcare uses that are not real. They're not really connected to the definition of the code if you're looking up your claim denial reasons. So it's important to know, once you learn that, if you're working with this carrier a lot, or that's a large percentage of your patient population, once you learn what the real meaning of that denial code is, then you need to make sure you document that and communicate that, hopefully, if you've got more people on your team, so that you aren't wasting time calling on this reason code, because that denial reason code could immediately, that particular code means that you need to make sure that the claim is no one's looking it up. So let's look it up together. Denial 22227. Let's see. I totally forgot to put denial code, like everything else is. Let's see. Here it is. Information requested from the patient, insured, responsible party was not provided or was insufficient or incomplete. That is what CO227 says. That's the definition of CO227. And my friends who don't know what the heck I'm looking at, there was a video that we've done before where I showed you how to search for your claim adjustment reason codes. Those claim adjustment reason codes or denial codes or rejection codes, all of those are standard by ANSI. You can find those in x12.org. That's x12.org. All of the codes are listed there. So if you Google, you're going to find other resources out there, but only click on the ones that are reputable sites. So a .govs or your x12.org is the company that issues those codes. So, but yeah, so those denial reason codes, that 227 and 226 that come from United Healthcare, really just mean that there was no authorization done. So if there was no authorization done, it says it's from the patient or provider or insured, blah, 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 all this stuff. Basically, that means that you didn't get authorization. So you need to check to see if you got authorization. And if you did, you can send an appeal. United Healthcare's done a really, really great job of making sure they don't miss a step with their authorization. So you probably did not, and you might have to try to request a special consideration for retro authorization. They don't approve a lot of those these days, but you might be approved if you can prove a case for that. Okay, so these, after you've already requested or gotten some clarity around your denials, you are then going to see what your next steps are. So you're asking first, what is the timely filing for appeals and reconsideration? Because before you do anything, you don't want to sit down and do an authorization, do an appeal or do a reconsideration request when you already have passed the time for appeals. Unless that's your clinic's policy that you have to do that last step before you can even get it written off. But most clinics are not going to want you to waste time and effort on something that's already past timely filing for appeals, because you cannot appeal something that is past timely filing for appeals unless you have proof that your appeal was accepted by fax or by some sort of electronic processing. They won't take just proof by mail anymore. If you mailed it or you sent something out or whatever, there's no way for that to even be accepted anymore. So you would have to have a way to prove that the claim was faxed and the fax was accepted, and you've got confirmation of that, and so on. So it's quite a feat these days with all the different electronic things that we have to prove timeliness for things. So first confirm that timely filing for reconsideration and appeals, and then you might first request reprocessing there by the phone, by phone with a representative, because that representative probably has spent some time with you already. You might already have everything that you might need to ask them to create or craft that reconsideration request. And you might not need to attach any documents. You may not need to send anything else. It might just be that you are clarifying a denial or a diagnosis code, and that it should have been linked per a particular service or what have you. Like, there might not be a need. If you need to send a corrected claim because something was not listed correctly on that initial claim, then you're going to need to send that by fax or electronically through your clearinghouse. It is possible to send corrected claims through a clearinghouse. So if you're not doing that, get the system set up so you can start to do it. All right. The reprocessing request by phone is something that I would urge you to do if you're on the phone with a rep, if it's something that was underpaid, overpaid, or a charge was for some reason skipped or miskeyed, like it was scanned in wrong. Those are the types of scenarios that would lend itself easy for the representative to send that back for reconsideration. If they won't or they can't, then you might need to send that appeal letter in or a reconsideration form if that insurance carrier has one. And so that next step would be to ask your representative what the next step is. Ask them whether or not there is a form, whether or not you can send the appeal letter electronically, and confirm the information. Every time that you have the chance to confirm that there hasn't been any changes by how this company likes to be sent information, because they're upgrading, right? You might be like, oh, this company never accepts things by fax. And then all of a sudden they made a change and their policy now is to accept things by fax. And if you've only just been like going with information you had from 4 years ago, then you might be missing an opportunity to save yourself time and resources by just asking them, is there a fax number I can send it to? Is there an email address or an online system that I can use to send my appeal? Like ask them to find out whether they've changed some sort of policy. All right. Okay, so if your claim was paid, these steps are the ones that you're going to take. This is in the event that you don't have, for whatever reason, a record of the payment. All right, and I just realized I think I forgot my 5th step here, so I'll insert this verbally. But basically, you need to confirm whether or not the claim was processed and paid. I mean, the date that the claim was processed or paid. So get a real date from the insurance carrier. Then you're going to ask the representative, was it paid by electronic means, by paper check, by virtual credit card? Like how were you supposed to have received this payment? Then you're going to verify whether or not it was a single payment or if it was a bulk payment. So when I say bulk payment, that means that there were more than one claim, more than one claim was paid in this particular payment or check. Okay. And that reason for that is because you might save yourself time. If you find out that you're calling on Jane Doe's claim and Jane Doe was only paid $75, but then the representative says, oh no, it was a bulk payment for over $2,000. You've got potentially a check for $2,000 that's out there, or a direct deposit that maybe has no EOB that was received, that you now can save yourself and whoever else that's in your team time and effort to from following up on those other claims that are a part of that $2,000 payment. Okay. So lastly, requesting the representative to confirm the deposit date or the clear date if the check was mailed. If it was a paper check, you need to make sure that you ask when the check cleared the bank. And then if it was mailed, another little addition there is to confirm the pay to address or the payee information, the pay to information and the address, because sometimes insurance carriers make mistakes. They pay the wrong providers. Like we have a client who always gets a check, and he is a chiropractor, and he always gets a check for someone who has exactly the same name as him, but is in like 6 states north of him or something like that. Is it 4 states north of him? 4 states north of him. Okay. He gets a check for a person that is a dentist that is 4 states north of him. Doesn't have the same tax ID, doesn't have the same NPI, but for whatever reason, their claim system always mixes him up. In at least once or twice, sometimes more a year, we will get a check for this poor dentist mailed to our office. And sometimes the team accidentally goes through the whole thing of depositing it, like their front desk team deposits the check and the bank accepts the payment and everything. All right. So it happens. So someone might have done that. Someone might have gotten your payment. Someone might have been receiving your check. This is another reason why I totally recommend that you do EFT or ACH, because, there's just things that happen, things that go on when we're talking about paper world. Okay. So my last tip there, my last step that I neglected to put in there is that you need to request a copy of the EOB to be sent to you if possible. If it was sent electronically, they may not do it. They might request or require that you go to your clearinghouse to get that information. If you get a payment by paper, they might easily send that to you. Ask them to get it to you faster. So by fax, by email, by whatever means that it can come to you, by secure mail, whatever, by secure email, like asking them to, or secure mail through the payer portal, some way to get that information to you so that you can get that, especially if it's a bulk payment, get it posted by the payment posting team before you continue to work on those claims for that payer. Very important. Don't spend more time following up if you found out that you've got a $2,000 payment out there and your claims are paying on average of like $50 to $75 or something, and you've got this big old whopping check that's like lingering. All right. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing to follow up on your claims. Either that, if you go through the process of continuing to follow up, you need to pull apart that, take aside that EFT number, the deposit number or check number, and date, and keep that off to the side while you're following up. Because the moment that you see, okay, claim was processed on this day, whatever, you skip it. Okay, you can skip it and not have to go through all the stuff to go through follow up and keep more, because you've already got your EOB hopefully on the way being resubmitted to you. Or maybe you went to your clearinghouse and you had a copy of it and you just downloaded it and moved on, and you got that over to your payment team. All right. Okay, a lot of information. Last step, document. document. I cannot say this enough. This is not just for your boss and your coworkers. This is also for you. It's also for you. I get so sad when I see my friends with all this stuff in their brains. Like, you guys, technology is our friend. Use it. Use technology. Why are you creating so much stress for yourself? You need to document. Make sure that you have a place for yourself to put these notes that will be easy for you to revisit. This is why electronically is best. I don't care how organized you are going to have millions of tabs that all make sense for you in order to do what something on a software could do so easily. If you don't have the ability in your software, in your EHR or practice management software, to have notes in a clear place, and you're using something even like a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, at least it's searchable. You can Control F anything. You can look for something. You got to use technology because it saves time. Stop using pen and paper. The trees are begging you. Just kidding. That too. But no, also your brain is begging you because you're creating more work for yourself. Don't create so much work for yourself. Use technology. And next time you get to that claim, you can hopefully revisit your notes and you have all the information you need. You've got your call reference number. You have your representative's name. You know who this person is that you are trying to, you know what the story is that you are trying to follow up on. Again, you have all of the history, all right? Nothing is worse than when we see representatives on a billing team calling multiple times and recreating their own version of the story. Like, you guys, stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your coworkers' time, your other teammates' time. There's so much more work to be done. You know, I know that there's some of you that are getting production pay or based on production pay, but the ultimate thing is that you actually can be of use to healthcare and actually help to be a part of the solution, not just, clocking claims. All right. So try to be a part of that solution. All right, my friends, what questions do we have? Oh, I like it. Yes. If there are no notes, it didn't happen. This is true. As a matter of fact, there are some companies that track production for AR team members only based on the strokes of the keys of the save button or the actual documented note that closed out an action. All right. So if you are lucky enough that you aren't getting reimbursed because you're getting compensated because of your documentation, you're lucky, but you also might be unlucky because you're being allowed to have bad habits. So use your software because you're creating a little bit more of a breadcrumbs for yourself, right? You're just reminding yourself. So when you get back to Jane Doe's claim, you can refer back to it and you're clear about what you did last time. You know what your request was. You know without a doubt what should have happened with that claim, okay? And I'll talk more about ways to document a claim. I didn't want to go or the follow up on a claim. These are all things that we'll get to. This is that first conversation around the following up by phone. We talk about this discussion around follow-up. There are a lot of other little things, especially when it comes to documenting your note and making sure it's clear to refer back to, all of those things. So we'll talk about that in our next chat. Any other questions or comments or additions? My billers, I know that I don't know everything. You guys are my source. You're my source. You guys have all the knowledge. We together can make sure that we can give the right recipe for the potential solution to most problems. Most problems are solvable in healthcare. Most of them are. So let's see. I'm looking. I'm just looking at notes in the back. Okay, here we go. On the back end, here we go. Yay, that's been great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yay. I like it. Aw, Pam, yay, binging YouTube videos is always fun. I do that anyway. Not myself. That would be weird. But I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm definitely, if I were to look at my history of my phone usage, and you know how that tells you what your screen time is and all that, it's probably the YouTube app probably takes the cake for me on like on the most used apps on my phone. Do you feel that reps should create letters? Like to be mailed? Let me ask that question first. Okay, so first thing is this. There are templates for everything. And when I say that, I mean like you're going to see repeated things. There's nothing new under the sun. When you start this position, if you're just starting or you're just kind of getting your feet wet, trying to get your wheels going, understanding what it is, don't discount the fact that what you're seeing today, you will see again and again and again and again. So you need to be making sure that you're compiling your own templates. And what does that mean? That means it could be a letter. Like, yes, if you need to craft a letter that needs to go by fax or by mail with attachments or whatever, craft it, but do not delete it. When I talk to people, they're like, oh my gosh, like I write, every time I do it, I have to write letters and it takes me forever. Like, why is it taking you forever? I mean, unless you are like a coder and you're fighting something coding related to argue CCI edits and all these other potential reconsiderations. It doesn't happen as much anymore, but if that does take place and you're doing things like that, you're crafting an appeal letter for like a really complex surgery, okay. But the majority of it you're going to see over and over again, and it will not require a single massage of like an entire letter that you're creating. You're going to just go in, you're going to plug and play your patient's information into that letter, the data service and the billed amount, all those things that we've talked about, and send the letter by fax, hopefully. If it needs to go by snail mail with attachments, then you send it by snail mail. But yes, reps probably need to be creating the letters. If you are doing reconsiderations, by a lot of reconsiderations by portal, by payer portal, the same is true. You need to save your wording. Like, why would you spend all that time just like this perfectly written message and then like do that 50 times in a week? Like you just copy paste it and then plug and play your different parts that need to be inserted. But the majority of your wording is going to be the same. It's in your specialty, unless you're in a multi-specialty group and you're responsible for all specialties, the majority of your stuff, your situations, your scenarios are going to be repeated over and over and over. All right. So you're creating your own resource. So I'm going to skip to Tyra's question here real fast. What about appeal cover letters? Reps should not have to create the letters. I hate it. They sure. Yeah, I do. Yeah. You plug and play. Good. Yeah. So there's got to be someone that's going to do it. So whether or not it's the representative or there's like somebody that's higher up that has more experience, like a level 2 in that position, or a supervisor in that role that wants to craft something that is beefy enough for the organization. I don't necessarily believe, like, if you're in an organization, there needs to be a conversation with your group as a whole of like, why aren't we working together to take all of our letters and our reconsideration requests and things and create our own resource that we can pull from, instead of each of us spinning our own wheels trying to create stuff? It doesn't make sense to have everybody with different versions. Like, if somebody who's amazing at letters, they just get a request and they get every claim like reprocessed. Their like reprocessing rate is like stellar, 99%, whatever. And then the same like group of providers has like 3 other representatives and they all are doing their own thing and everyone else is hardly getting their claims reprocessed or getting things reconsidered for payment or anything. Like, why don't we use these brains of the entire team and start to really kind of think about the greater good of the organization? It's not really a competition, right? Especially if you're talking about all the billers in the same department, right? We're all hopefully working for the greater good of the organization as a whole, and not just, I mean, the truth is this: working for the greater good of the organization as a whole is not just good for the organization, is also good for you, because if you have that really beautiful approach to integrity and leading and living with integrity and doing the right thing when no one else is really paying attention, then you have the opportunity to even show that person, that whole person that you are, to the organization that is going to potentially help you get to that next level that you're hoping to get to. It's not about trying to make Joe Schmo look bad over there. It's about, like, I care about this organization. And if you speak from that space, everybody wants that person in leadership. Everyone wants that person in leadership to the next level. That's going to be the opportunity for you. So if you're just like me, and this person's screwing up and you're just like rumoring and talking badly about your coworkers, trust me, you will not be offered the job for the next level. Nobody wants the person who's always complaining and talking badly about other people. We want people who are solutions focused and thinking about the organization as a whole. All right. So yeah, like, yeah, level 2 supervisor. Yeah. I think about that too. Like, Tyra, just to your point there, like someone who at least has enough knowledge. And if it's not, let's say it's not like centralized to one person, but that to create them, but that one person is the one who kind of certifies that this version is good or okay to use, I would think that's a good idea. So I tell them that my SDS cards are run out of space. There's no room. I love that. It's so true. Yes, your brain, like, you gotta let it like freedom. Give it some space. Give it some space. One of the reasons why a lot of people struggle in their later years is because there's just too much. It's overstimulation for many years and too much knowledge being crammed in there and not enough space being created, enough opportunity for you to just like relax. All right. And use the supportive technology. I skipped a comment here. Here we go. Call on multiple patients, insurance companies of calling. Yes. Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I didn't put that in my notes. That's a fantastic tip. So calling on more than one patient at a time. Some insurance carriers only allow for a certain number. I think it's like Aetna, who says 4 claims or something. So if you've got one patient who's got like 3 claims, then you might be able to fit one other patient in there with another claim. But knowing that policy, they'll probably tell you. But for sure, do not get on the phone when you have one patient that you're calling on, when you know that you have 400 patients on your list. Like, you need to work through at least 50 of your claims, mark them for to be called or needs to call or something like that. And then those are the ones that you pick up the phone and call on. I'm also a huge proponent of, I don't like to call it multitasking because it's technically not multitasking if you're on hold. All right. But it's basically, you got to be doing something. You watching the counter on your phone serves nobody. Like, when you're on hold, you should be doing something else. Stop wasting time. Do something else. There's always something else to do. There's always something else to do. All right. Let me see. Tribe. Let's see. Would you use Google Sheets for notes? And then tab at the bottom for more information. Google Sheets. Okay, so what we do is we are, as a billing company especially, we're all about creating redundancy and proof for everything that we do. So what does that mean? That means basically, if we're following up on a claim, we are often for our clients, they own the software. Okay, especially if you're in the world of like using other people's systems. When they own the software, they have the ability to shut you out of software. They own it. So you have to create some redundancy. You have to create some proof of what work is being done. So we have our information. Yes, when we're storing it in a Google Sheet, there is a note that gets put into the Google Sheet. as well as the software, because I do believe that it is fair for the client to have it in the place that is most useful for them. So the front desk, like I said earlier in my example, should be able to refer to it, or the calling center, or anybody else at the practice. All right. So hope that answers your question. The tab at the bottom for information, it just is going to depend. Yes, if you're like using an AR report that has like, let's say you're pulling an AR report and you're separating them by payer, then yes, you could use the tabs. If I'm understanding, you could use the tab to separate those by payer. So it'd be like United Healthcare and Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield. So yeah, like where to send Medicare time. Oh yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. So I would recommend that you create like a global resource for those types of things. So like separate from the AR report as it's being worked, but instead have a resource that is like what we talked about earlier, that has your provider's information, your practice information, address. Sometimes some insurance companies might even have you verify the address or the phone number as well. So you might want to have that handy, especially if you're a biller offsite and you don't have the number memorized like someone at the practice might. So you're going to have all that information handy, the tax ID, all of that. And then yes, a resource that you're building upon that has, Aetna, what's the timely filing limit? What's their phone number? What's their fax number? What's the timely filing limit for claims and reconsiderations? Like creating, I would just say like a one-stop shop and directory that has that information listed by column is, I think, the best resource, unless you have a software that keeps it in a really beautifully presented way. Most software does not. And so it would be good to make a useful one for us as billers. Really great questions. Oh my God, I just looked at the time. Oh, you guys, this is a long one. I didn't realize that we've been on for an hour and 19 minutes, it says. So, all right. I will just, yay. That's so great. Celebrating you, Pam. You made your directory today. Good. You will save yourself so much time, and you're just going to love it as it continues to get beefed up. You're going to love it. You're going to love on it. And make sure if you have someone on your team that you have them adding to your directory too. Like don't have someone else that has their own directory and you got your, like try to marry the two, because again, like if someone's on the call and they're verifying the information for where to, fax something, and they got this new phone number, and it could save you time, or, vice versa. So love it. Yay. All right, my friends. I got to let everybody go. It's like the end of the night, and I'm totally just like shooting into your evenings, you guys. I appreciate you for sticking around. If you just jumped on here and you missed it, rewatch this. Let me know if I'm missing anything. If you are a biller already, add something in the comments that we can engage about. Let me know that you, have some value to add. And if you missed earlier, we chatted about joining the Facebook group. We do have next Friday. Thank you for that reminder, Nicole. Next Friday is our medical billers meetup. So make sure you join the Facebook group so you can get the information on the sign up for that. And I look forward to seeing your faces. Like we're gonna be like live and in person. You guys are gonna be actual people instead of just names and little pictures of yourselves. So that's very exciting. So listen, everyone have a beautiful rest of your evening and stay well. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, friends.